Sarasota, Florida. Population 370,000. It is known for the John and Mabel Ringling Museum, the Sarasota Opera House, and finally, Siesta Key Beach, ranked number 1 in the United States. However, Sarasota is not as well known for its history of racial segregation. In 1997, only 15 years ago, Sarasota was the 13th most racially segregated city in the United States, and the second in Florida. The Sarasota school boycott was a revolution of African Americans who sought racial equality, inspiring majorly different reactions from the white and black communities, and numerous reforms to fully integrate the county's public schools. The Sarasota school boycott was a significant event that shaped the development of Sarasota's county schools. The original city of Sarasota was created in 1883. Sarasota's first black settler, Lewis Colson, was sent to help an engineer survey the new town. Colson became the first black minister of the first black church. Colson and his wife, Irene, created the basis of the first black community, called Overtown, now known as the Rosemary District. Today, Lewis and Irene Colson are the only African Americans buried in Rosemary Cemetery. As for education, the first black school, Sarasota Grammar School, was built in 1925, but was renamed after its first principal, Emma E. Booker, an African American woman who began teaching at the young age of 14. Today, Booker schools consist of Emma E. Booker Elementary School, Booker Middle School, and Booker High School, which are all very active in the arts. Historical documents show that Florida established some of the harshest Jim Crow laws in the country. These laws regulated rights such as intermarriage and segregation of all public places. A blueprint of Sarasota County's 1925 courthouse. This plan incorporated segregated jail cells, witness rooms, and restrooms. The following are newspaper articles published about racism in Sarasota.
I'm a historian for Sarasota County. Sarasota was so segregated that blacks and whites never came together.
Segregation in schools lasted for over 100 years. In 1887, Jim Crow law stated, white and colored children prohibited from being taught in the same schools.
I graduated in 1964, and during all that time I never had a black person in class with me. And in fact, in all of the schools I went to, there was never a black person in school.
The 1955 Supreme Court ruling of the Brown v. Board of Education trial required the desegregation of all schools in the United States. By 1957, no progress in Sarasota was made. Sarasota's NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, requested its county schools be integrated immediately. However, Sarasota did nothing, so a lawsuit was filed in 1961. Dr. Ed James is a 1957 Booker High School graduate and creator of the Black Almanac, the longest-airing public affairs program in the southeastern United States.
Even when they had what they said was integration, we were not satisfied with it. We challenged their federal funds.
Rather than lose funds, Sarasota supposedly integrated elementary children, but actually had black students still segregated from the whites on the same campus. The very first school to be integrated was Bay Haven Elementary, where 29 black students were enrolled for the 1962 school year. In 1965, the Sarasota County School Board devised a plan to close the Booker schools and move Amaryllis Park Elementary to Southside Elementary's campus, a white school. This plan was arduous, expensive, and would take an extensive 3 years to complete. The black community disagreed with this plan. After his proposal to send white students to black schools was denied, Sarasota resident and civil rights activist John Rivers, along with many others, conducted a school boycott.
On a Sunday afternoon, some of the leaders of the community had a meeting and decided that we were going to boycott the schools. And we had almost over 90% participation on that Monday morning.
The purpose of the boycott was to protest the closing of the Booker schools. On May 5, 1969, 2,353 black students boycotted the Booker school. To keep them learning during the boycott, freedom schools were set up in churches where New College students volunteered to teach.
The students from New College were teachers in the freedom schools. The freedom schools were held in the churches. Black families prepared food that was served. The children had to eat. They had lunch like at school. So the black families prepared food for the children.
In reaction to the school boycott, Thomas L. Guilford, superintendent of schools, proclaimed the boycott irresponsible. He sent out warnings to parents threatening of fines and jail time, all of which were ignored. Black school teachers supported the boycott along with the rest of the black community. James Logan, a Riverview student at the time of the boycott, stated how he and countless other black students felt about being forced to attend previously all-white schools. We were going to white schools where nobody wanted us. Finally, the board went to the other direction and agreed not to close the Booker schools, but created an amended integration plan. After many plans were turned down, Assistant Superintendent Jerry Strickland created a plan to open the Booker schools as a voluntary mixed-race student body. This plan was accepted and implemented, resulting in full school integration in 1971, a prolonged 17 years from the initial Supreme Court integration ruling in 1954.
We, students, parents, community, stayed out of the schools for about a week. District felt that we would only be out for a day.
Sarasota has a long history of racial segregation, from incidents in the community and predominantly the Sarasota school boycott, through revolution, reaction, and reform. Sarasota has overcome these challenges regardless of the time it took. The Sarasota school boycott resulted in the school I attend today.